Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hi guys, this is Shahadat, Muhammad Shahadat Hussain, and in this video today I'm going to tell you why I have stopped supporting this charity called the Islamic Relief UK. You can see the website in the shared screen now, and I'll give you my reasons why I have stopped supporting them, and at the same time why I think you should stop supporting them as well. And just to give you a little bit of background about me, I'm a computer science graduate, and then I did my master's in information and communication technology. And further on, later on, I did a nutrition course on ketogenic, advanced ketogenic nutrition training program from the American Nutrition Association. And in the process, over the last three and a half years, I have actually spent quite a bit of time trying to understand how human body works and how nutrition works, what are the most nutritious food that a human being can have, excuse me, and so on and so forth. So after going through this website of this charity organization called Islamic Relief UK, obviously it doesn't you don't see anything wrong to on the front page of their website. It looks like they're trying to help people in need, which is a good thing to do, but I think they are violating the Islamic principle in quite a few different fronts actually. So what do I mean by that? If you go to the blogging section of this website, and just I'll remind you before going to the blogging section, this is a Islamic website. So because of the Islamic word in their domain name and the Islamic word in the name of the company, what happens is Muslims are mostly interested about this organization, and Muslims are making donations, and at the same time Muslims are consuming the content that they put out. So the blogs that they are writing, Muslims are primarily reading those blogs. So any wrong information that they publish in these blogs will affect Muslims throughout the world, people who rely on this charity organization for help, and people who are donating to this organization, they will keep on going back to this organization, and they will have a tendency of accepting or taking it as truth what this website publishes. And that's where my problem is. They've started a campaign with the campaign manager is this sister. Her name is Maria Zafar, and this sister, and what they're asking for is a meat-free fortnight, and they're trying to encourage people to give up eating meat because they think that is going to solve the climate change problem. Anybody who has done a bit of reading or studies on the climate change science or the factors that affect climate change, they know that meat is not the biggest problem. Rather, it's the biggest problem actually is agriculture, where we till the land, because you need to till the land, and so that releases it destroys the biodiversity that or the microbiome diversity that is in the soil, and the trapped carbon dioxide, the trapped carbons that become later carbon dioxide and gets released when we do the tilling. And after the tilling, because the soil gets loose and broken, rainwater can wash it off, and that is the biggest threat for the survival of the human race and other animals in the world now, because the topsoil is getting destroyed because of agriculture, and she probably doesn't know that. And looking at her bio, I found that she did. I went to her bio in LinkedIn, and I found that she has done a few things just to make show that this is the Maria Zafar sister I'm talking about. She is Public Affairs Campaign Coordinator at Islamic Relief UK, the same website I just showed you. And what about her education? Her education was BA in Politics from Queen Mary University of London, which is good. Grade 2:1. Oh, that's brilliant. And A-levels, Psychology, Government and Politics, English Literature, and other things. But you don't see nutrition in her list of qualifications, and you don't see environmental science in her list of qualifications either. So I don't have any reason to assume that she actually understands how the climate change science works. I mean, she can study on her own and learn these things like I did. But the problem is when the kind of content she is putting out clearly shows that she hasn't got a clue about the climate change factors, and she doesn't have a clue about human nutrition either. Because let me show you what she said here. Where is it? This is the one where. So, in an effort to do my bit to look after the world, I'm now fully vegetarian. So now the question obviously is, are you trying to promote your ideas because you just want to spread vegetarianism among the Muslims, or is it a scientifically viable choice? And from my education, from my training as a nutrition in the nutrition world, I can tell you that vegetarianism, veganism, these are completely I mean, if you compare it with the meat eating, these habits or these dietary preferences are completely inferior in all different ways from animal or animal-based food. And there are so many different things to discuss on that topic, but just to try to keep the discussion short, or this video short, I would say that she is completely lost it. She has completely lost it, because for somebody to become a vegetarian to save the world it just doesn't make any sense at all. Now, obviously you can ask that why am I making this a video and trying to expose these efforts? A few reasons. One is because this organization claimed to be an Islamic organization, and then they are promoting un-Islamic ideas. I mean, trying to get people not eat a certain type of food that is halal, that is acceptable or permitted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's not right. I mean, we all know about the ayah of the Quran, of our Holy Quran, where the Prophet was kind of like rebuked by Allah Rabbul Alameen when he decided to give up honey to please his wives, and Allah Rabbul Alameen revealed an ayah kind of like rebuking him. Why have you decided to do that? And we need to keep that in mind. We cannot just give up a certain type of food that is halal only because we think this is going to save the world and this is going to do this and that. And the other thing is, if I could accept if the scientific understanding was that this was going to save the world, then you could argue for it. But the science clearly says that is not the problem. Meat is not the problem. It is how we produce meat that is a problem. So it's the human problem, it's not the animal problem. So if we change our practice, if we change the way we do animal agriculture, then it can actually work to benefit us. And the way to actually do that is going back to the animals and having more ruminant animals roaming on the earth. Excuse me, I've got a little bit of cold, so having to clear up my throat again and again. So then the other opposition, or you might say that why have you just gone on making this video without getting in touch with them and trying to correct them? As a Muslim, that's what you expect, right? And I did that. I got in touch with Islamic Relief and highlighted some of the articles that Sister Maria Zafar has written, and told them that these articles are full of lies and misinformation. Can you please take them down and do your research properly, and then write them back and put them back online? Their answer was no. Our articles are scientific articles, so we are not going to take them down. Then I thought, okay, they're not going to listen to me and trying to ignore me. They are actually trying to, I mean, that's one of the problems. They are trying to harm people that they're meant to help. So Muslims are being harmed by their practice. And it was absolutely amazing that even after giving them the evidence, which clearly shows that their way of thinking about this problem is completely wrong, they denied to look into it, and they denied to take these articles down. So I thought that was absolutely un-Islamic, unacceptable, and so I decided to go public. And before that, I actually did another thing. I found Sister Maria Zafar's name here, so I went to LinkedIn and found her profile, and I sent her a message and requested her to get educated about nutrition and environmental science before publishing such content. And I offered my support. I said, if you need any information, I can guide you. I can direct you to the kind of information that you need, and then you can publish the right content and you can help people rather than harming them. But no, she I saw that she actually read my message, but she denied to cooperate. I had to go as far as she had published some LinkedIn articles, the articles that you publish in LinkedIn website, and she was again trying to support her meatless fortnight idea, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. So I went there, I left a comment asking her to get in touch so that we can talk and I can guide her, I can show her that her perception about this whole thing is completely flawed. But no answer. She decided to ignore my request. So then I just didn't have any choice but to stop supporting them and trying to expose them publicly so that people who are supporting them understand what they are up to. I mean, whatever they're up to, they're not up to helping Muslims, really. And this sort of effort actually causes much bigger problem when young kid, a youth, they go to this website and they read about these articles, and they read things like, she thinks, this is an article written by Sister Maria Zafar, where she thinks meat is healthy is a myth. She thinks, this is in this article, I mean, let me show you because otherwise you will not, you might ask. So meat versus vegetarian consumption, debunking the 6 most common myths. That's what she is trying to debunk here. And quite a few of these myths I thought were kind of like silly things to talk about, but the one that is factually wrong, completely factually wrong, is she thinks meat is healthy is a myth. I don't understand where she got that from. Obviously, you can have meat in an unhealthy way, and especially if you mix meat with plant food, that's when it becomes unhealthy. That's what the most recent research kind of like alluded to. So processed meat, which contains a lot of seed oil sometimes, and corn and other things mixed with them, if you consume those processed meats, they may not be as good as the unprocessed whole food meat or red meat. The thing is, if you stick to the processed meat, yeah, it is not going to be as good. But then again, if you compare even the processed meat compared to the plant-based food, processed meat is still better. So I mean, it's just unbelievable that she thinks meat is healthy is a myth. So anyway, so these kind of contents are actually raising confusion among the Muslim youth, and I'll give you an example of that. You see, this is a website. It's called islamqa.info, where Muslims can ask questions, questions that they have in their mind. And somebody has already asked this question, and uh, this guy, I don't know exactly his what his demographics are, but his question is, why does Islam not tell us to eat less red meat? Because I mean, as soon as I read the question, I'm sure you understood where this sort of ideas come from, and they raise this question, and just by asking this question, they actually go towards leaving Islam because they think the Quran obviously is not correct. Red meat is not healthy for human beings, and the Quran allows, Allah Rabbul Alamin allows eating red meat. Allah Rabbul Alamin made meat halal, so obviously Allah Rabbul Alamin doesn't know. And if somebody thinks in that way, they leave Islam, which is a massive problem. So even though this little article may look like a harmless thing, but it is actually, it can, and it has got the potential of actually confusing lots of people. Now, one of the reasons I think Sister Maria Zafar is writing all this content is because she's confused. I mean, in this day and age, we see lots of kids who are living in urban society. They haven't seen what a farm looks like. They haven't seen how animals are raised in a farm, and so they have got some idealistic understanding of how animals should be, and they call themselves animal lovers. And that's exactly what we see in our sister's case. Sister Maria Zafar is a keen animal lover. So it makes sense that she won't like the idea of animals getting slaughtered and getting eaten by human beings, even though if you think about nutrition, that is the best source of nutrition that a human being can have. Now, I mean, if you have any doubts or any questions about these concepts, please get in touch with me. I can provide you with the evidence that I base my views on. But then again, even if we ignore the evidences, the scientific evidences, as a Muslim, we trust Allah Rabbul Alamin knows everything. Allah Rabbul Alamin is aware of everything. And Allah Rabbul Alamin knows the benefits and the harms that eating of any particular food can cause. And still, when Allah Rabbul Alamin made the meat eating a priority, made meat eating halal, not priority, meat eating halal, that means Allah Rabbul Alamin understands that meat is good for us. As human beings, it is good for us. Please note, I'm not saying we should stop eating plant food altogether. Plant food has its place as well. Some people thrive on plant food, that is fine. Some people like the taste of plant food. I eat plant food sometimes. But the idea that I'm going to give up meat to save my health clearly contradicts the wisdom that Allah Rabbul Alamin has, or the guidance that Allah Rabbul Alamin has provided for humanity. So these things are pretty problematic. And Sister Maria Zafar, she obviously asks people during the Ramadan to give up meat, which is a terrible idea, because meat being the kind of like the best source of nutrition for human beings, if you eat meat, especially if you're elderly, and then your body will be nourished. And in the days of fasting, when you're not eating for quite a few hours, you're not eating anything for quite a few hours, you need to replenish your, you need to supply enough nutrition to your body as quickly as possible, and meat is the way to do that. So stopping eating meat is not the solution. So and the Sister Maria Zafar, I mean, she writes articles in a way that this is kind of like a manipulative. So if you use the lessons from the Quran and the Hadith, and then your conclusion is don't eat meat, that's quite manipulative. This is an article she has written, 6 climate lessons from the Quran and Hadith. Okay, so these are climate lessons we are talking about, and one climate lesson is do not waste water. That's a good thing. Our Prophet did tell us not to waste water, even if it's from a flowing river. Be like a honeybee, try to look after things. Fine, animals have got rights too. Now, animals have rights too, of course. I accept that. As Muslims, we all have to be aware about the animals, the rights of the animals, and we cannot go and cause harm to the animals without mindlessly. But that doesn't mean you will not be able to eat the halal animal that Allah has made halal for you. But she starts with this. Animals have rights too. And the next thing she says is, listen to the prayer of a tree, as if trees are so valuable for the world. I mean, it's kind of like a persuasion that you should avoid messing with the animals and go towards the plants. And then the caring for animals bring rewards. Yeah, we know that, and that's what we try to do. We try to look after our animals and try to give them a good life until they are ready to be slaughtered and become our food. And this is actually a way of actually showing respect to these animals, because if you don't do that, what happens? If you don't do that, the animal gets old, and because they don't have any old care homes, they get sick. And once an animal gets sick, it goes through a really, 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 really painful death. It will not be able to move, it will not be able to eat, and then one day it will die because of hunger, and the body will get decomposed. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has actually designed our world in a way that actually guards against this problem. You see, in the wild, there are predators and there are preys. So once and there is always a competition to for the predators to catch the prey. So if it's a group of zebra that a lion is chasing, it's the old aged zebra that will probably be slower, that will not be able to run as fast, and the lion will get it. What will happen is the lion will eat it, and the lion will get nutrition, and the old and frail animal, the zebra in this particular case, will get killed and cleaned up by other animals. That way, what happens is they suffer death. I mean, you cannot escape death no matter what. So they suffer a quick death compared to if you look at a lion which becomes old, it gets thrown out from its pride, and then it basically tries to live on its own. It cannot run fast enough, and then, I mean, if you go to Google and just look for the way lions die at the end of their life, it's horrific, absolutely horrific. And so if you stop eating all these animals, slaughtering these animals, and then you don't get the nutrition that they offer for us, which is the best source of nutrition, mind you, and also they will have a terrible life. So, and the other alternative, what is the other alternative? If we don't eat animal sourced food, if we don't eat meat, what are we going to eat? We are going to live on plants. The plants don't grow in the air, right? They grow on the soil, and they need nutrition from the soil. And if you think about the way plants are grown or crops are grown, you will see in every step we do things that are actually harmful for the climate, because the first step is we cut the jungle and get rid of trees to make the land cultivable, so you can produce some crop there. So that is the first step. We are cutting down the trees and cleaning it up, which was there for, I don't know, probably hundreds of years. So this doesn't help the climate, the environment. Okay, the next thing we do is we cultivate the till the land. So we break down the soil and then turn them upside down. Which, I mean, if you read about it, you will understand that this is a terrible thing to do. And the next thing we do is mostly we do monocropping. So for a huge area of land we use for one particular crop, and this actually depletes the land from the nutrients that the plants need. So the end result is the crop that we get doesn't have as much nutrition. And then there are other problems. When we spread the seeds in the ground, birds try to pick on those seeds and eat them. So we need to kill the birds. So that happens. And then the next thing we do is when the crops are growing, the cows and goats, we need to make sure that they don't come and just start eating those plants. So they need to be dealt with. Any wild animal needs to be dealt with if it comes towards our field. And then the next thing is we need to get rid of the insects, because the insects are going to kill or destroy our crops. So use insecticide to kill the insects. So you see the number of deaths is increasing quite dramatically. And then these insecticides, herbicides, they don't get I mean, quite a few of them, glyphosate is one of them, they don't they're not biodegradable immediately. So what happens is they get washed because of the rain, they get washed down, and then they join the streams and goes to the rivers and then kills the fishes, and we get some of those things in our food too. And we suffer the consequences. We suffer from ill health because of all these insecticides that are getting sprayed on the crops. So then you have a lovely crop, and say for example, if it's a field of a plant of wheat, we plant wheat in a large area, and you get rats and other animals like this that start eating on this wheat and grow their number like crazy. But then one day we take our harvester and cut the wheat from the land, and so there is no food left for these rats. So what happens? They die of starvation. They die because they cannot get any more food, and they rot. So if you think about the whole process, it's just death, and to animals. And this is not sustainable even, because the nutrition needs to go back to the soil. And how can we do that? How can we replenish the nutrition in the soil? We can either use chemical fertilizer, and chemical fertilizer production is one of the biggest sources of carbon dioxide emission in the atmosphere. Chemical industries like fertilizers, industries like that produce cement, things like those, they contribute a huge amount to the detriment of the climate, of our environment. So you need to understand all these things before you say stop eating meat. With one animal, with one cow, you can probably feed 50 people happily, and they will be they will have all the nutrition that they need. And in contrast, you have a plate of salad probably that has already caused quite a few, probably thousands of lives before it got there to your plate. Which one is better? So then the last lesson she gave in this article was listen to the prayers of the tree. But cunningly enough, finally her conclusion is that means we should stop eating meat. We should give up eating meat. Crazy, absolutely crazy. So the article that I showed earlier, this one, they based this idea that meat is bad for human beings from this Guardian, the Guardian article that was written in 2018 October. And it's annoying that a news outlet, a media outlet like The Guardian is publishing content like this and not modifying it, because in 2018 there was a study that claimed that ruminant animals are the problem, and so they wrote based on that article, and our sister's article is based on that article. Okay, so she didn't actually go back to the primary research material. She just picked up somebody's opinion about something and wrote another article based on that, without really investigating, without really looking into it. But later on, new research has shown that this conclusion was completely false, and I'm going to show you why that is. And also, the same Guardian article, newspaper have they have published a new article suggesting that regenerative farming could reduce UK climate emissions, says experts. So now they are kind of like focusing on regenerative agriculture, including regenerative animal agriculture. And if you look at the work of Alan Savory, you will know that regenerative ruminant agriculture has transformed quite a few farms in different parts of the world, in Australia, in the US, in Africa. They have done wonders, and that is the way to go. And some people don't know, or probably most people don't know, that the land mass that we have, the land, not mass, land area that we have, only 1/16 of it is actually cultivable for crop production. The other 15 of the 16 parts are not, they are called marginal land. Dr. Frank Mitlerner from the CLEAR Center, UC Davis, University of California, Davis, here Dr. Frank Mitlerner, he talks about these things, and he is an expert. This is the gentleman. He is an expert on air quality and animal welfare, husbandry, these sort of things. So he basically made it very clear that the land area that we have, we cannot actually use it for cultivation. We cannot use it for plant or crop production, because if you think about a hill which has got a very thin layer of soil, and nothing other than grass can grow on that soil. So and the cows, the goats, the sheep, they don't have a problem living on those places and eat the grass and upcycle the grass into the protein that human beings need. And that is basically the way to solve the problem. And obviously some of you will probably complain that the cows are emitting methane, and that's an interesting question. And because if you think about it, the methane doesn't come from nothing. It comes from the grass that the cows are eating. So the cows eat the grass, it goes into their in the first part of their stomach, which is called a rumen, and they sit there and they get rotten there. And the bacteria that rot the grass, they basically because in the process of fermentation, they release methane. Methane has got a higher ability of warming the environment, true, but what happens is within 10 years the methane gets converted to carbon dioxide naturally. That's a natural process. So the life of that methane is only 10 years. So and then obviously because the cows are eating on a land, and then they are defecating on that land as well. They're peeing on that land as well, which gives the nutrition back to the soil. And manure is the most the best source of nutrition for the land, right? So because of that, the grass that the cows were eating, they grow better next time. So it provides more food. And when the grass grow, what do? They actually take the carbon dioxide from the air, and using the sunlight, they convert that to cellulose. So when the grass grows, they are basically sucking up the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So That way, the methane that went into the atmosphere actually is coming back and being converted to grass again. And then the cows are eating the grass again. And so it keeps on going like a cycle. But the carbon dioxide emitted from plant production, different kind of industries, transportation, they are a one-way thing. They used to be, fossil fuel used to be trapped under the ground for probably millions of years, and now we are burning them and putting the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So that's the biggest impact the environment is, our biggest heat the climate is receiving from human beings. And people like this organization, Islamic Relief, they are organizing trips, tours in other countries where they're taking people from UK and going to Croatia, going to other places, and obviously they're using airplane to do that, not walking down there. So that trip probably is going to cost the environment much more compared to eating or growing a herd of animals for an entire year. Now, obviously, you can ask, okay, what is your evidence? Let me show you something. This is EPA, Environmental Protection Agency of the United States, and this is the information that they published, and they are claiming that the greenhouse gases, these are the different greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide is about 80% and methane is about 10%. Nitrous oxide is about 7%, and fluorinated gases 3%. That's the total greenhouse gas emission in the US, based on the data of 2019. And further down, they break it down, like the carbon dioxide emission, the sources of this carbon dioxide, where is it coming from? If you look at this little chart, you will understand what I'm talking about. Transportation contributes about 35% of the emission for the carbon dioxide emission, and then electricity causes 31%. So 35 and 31, that is 66 already. And then industry is another 16%. So 66 and 16, that is 82%, right? 82%. And then residential and commercial usage of electrical, or let me say it other way, in the other way. So residential and commercial footprint of carbon dioxide, and you get that 11%. So altogether it's 92%. Only 8% is from other sources, including animal agriculture. Okay, and then if we look into, so let me point out once again, if all sorts of other things contribute to only 8% of the contribution, the ruminant animals that are grazing on the land and making the land fertile, they are not a problem. They are not the problem. Transportation is a problem. Electricity use is a problem. Industrial, the way of our industrial life, basically, the way we rely on industries for our life, that is a problem. We need to change that. But obviously, Islamic Relief doesn't talk about that, which I think is talking about something without knowing about it, which is Islamically not acceptable. And generally, even if you don't think about Islam, it is still not acceptable. It's absolutely contrary to any sound logic. So then this is the other chart where methane emission is, the sources are displayed here. And even though they say methane is the biggest problem and the cows are burping methane and farting methane, and that's why they're the worst things we can have on the planet. And look at the source. Look at the source, please. So methane emission, natural gas and petroleum systems, they give about 30%. Electric fermentation gives about 27%. Landfills, methane comes from there as well, about 17%. Manure management, now this is a contribution of the ruminant animals, but it's because the way we manage them. Quite a bit of it is because of the way we manage them. That's about 9%. Coal mining is about 7%, and other about 9%. So if you see this data, then you understand that the ruminant animals are not the problem. It's the long haul flights that we are taking to go from one part of the world to the other part. That is a much bigger problem, and that needs to be addressed to save the planet, not the poor animals. And we need to eat. And the as nutritionist Diana Rogers clearly said, you cannot have food without death. You have to kill something to eat. So you can decide to eat plant food, which will kill thousands in the process of growing them, and you can kill one animal and feed 50 people, 100 people. Which one is better? Think about it. If you do the basic maths, you will immediately know that we should actually stop doing the agriculture the way we are doing, and try to rely more on plant the animal sources and for our food. And if we do that, we will have more animals. They will graze on more land, and they will fertilize those lands, and it will be a cycle that will keep on going. And then we can come up with other ways of doing agriculture without destroying our forests and things. And we can have some plant-based food as well and get benefited from both sources, right? But just giving up one is not going to solve the climate change problem. Actually, it's going to make things worse. So if you want to learn more about these sort of arguments, you can go to this website called sacredcow.info. There are a few others. You can go to, of course, UC Davis, the Clear Center of ucdavis.edu. Dr. Frank Mitloehner, the gentleman here, he has actually written quite a few blogs, and he's trying to show the world that all these animal lovers are actually harming the world beyond belief with their wrong perception, and they're getting hurt because they are suffering from ill health, and then they're trying to get other people to become ill like them. And one reason I think is because the plant sources, you cannot get omega-3 from plant sources that our brain can use effectively. So these guys, they stop eating fish and meat, and they suffer from the lack of omega-3, so their brain doesn't work, and they come up with crazy, ridiculous arguments, and Islamic Relief seems to be doing the same. Now, going back, let me show you this. Here are some infographics. I highlighted this particular page specifically for a reason. It says the address of the page, you can see it here, but I'll just read it out loud for you. It's sacredcow.info/helpful-resources. If you go to this page, you will have some of the scientific data-based information, not what we think. This is what was found. So this is a infographic that shows the methane, who is contributing most in terms of the methane. And if you look at the ruminant animals, the cows, they contribute about 2% of the global greenhouse gas, or the US greenhouse gas emission. Tiny little bit, compared to 28% from transportation, 28.4% from electricity production, industrial usage 21.6%. Massive, right? So that's what we need to stop doing. Water, and Sister Maria Zafar talked about water. That's because I understand this argument, the reasoning, because it was claimed that it takes a lot more water to raise a pound of meat compared to a pound of plant-based food. And Professor Frank Mitloner actually looked into the data and clearly showed that it is absolutely ridiculous, because there are water from natural sources, rain. You cannot stop rain, and if the rainwater is getting drunk by the cows and the goats and the sheep, that's a good thing, because otherwise it's just getting wasted, right? So they come up with this argument because they think the animal production or animal agriculture is taking a lot more water, and so the world is going to run out of water supply in the near future. That's one of the arguments, and this clearly shows the clear picture of how much water, how much purified water is getting used in this sort of things. And recently, actually, they have done analysis on how much water is used for plant production. Say, for example, avocado, to grow avocados, and the result was a surprisingly huge number. So these are silly arguments. I mean, when a cow drinks water, that is not wasting water, right? That is raising an animal that lives on that drinks the water. But then again, this water doesn't just disappear from the face of the earth. The cow then pees and it goes into the ground, and basically it works as a natural irrigation system. So the cow drinks from one place and walks about and keep on eating the grass, and then pees on a distant place, and that way the fertilizer gets distributed in the soil, which saves the soil, which builds topsoil, which helps the diversity there. And I mean, if you look into Alan Savory's work, you will be absolutely amazed how doing the animal agriculture right can actually make the planet green again. He has stopped desertification process by using these animals in Zimbabwe, where he had a ranch. And then he took the idea to the US, and in New Mexico, US, they are trying to, a 1 million acre land, they're trying to bring it back to life, because the land was pretty much like a desert, and they're trying to bring it back to life using these ruminant animals, because the ruminant animals are walking or grazing in that land, and they get food from surprising sources, and then they are kind of like making the land fertile, which will then allow the land to grow grass, and then the life will start. Grass will bring bugs, and the bugs will then bring birds, and the birds will come and eat the bugs, and it will keep on going like that. The natural life cycle will start there. So let me quickly show you some more infographics from here. This is the point I tried to make earlier. Not all land can be cropped, and so the land that cannot be used for agriculture, traditional agriculture, grass still grows on those places, and our cows, our sheep, our goats, they don't have a problem walking up to those places and eat from there. All we have to do is we have to basically get this idea in our heads that this is a healthy way of doing it. This is the way how we can actually reverse the climate change problem. We can truly fight the climate change problem. So then there are a few other things. I'm just going to give you some of the what do you call? I'll basically go through the infographics quickly, so you just have an idea of what they are talking about, in case you don't have the time to go to this website yourself. So looking at these informations, the infographics, you will clearly understand that cows or ruminant animals are not the problem. It's how we do it. And an organization like Islamic Relief trying to promote meatless fortnight is not helping. It is not helping the cause that they're trying to help, really. And it is actually working against climate change fight. So Once again, sacredcow.info, and then for Professor Frank McLenna's blogs and other articles published by the University of California in Davis, you can go to the CLIA Center. It's called CLIA. The website address is clia.ucdavis.edu. Okay, so you can go there and you can learn a ton from these guys, and EPA to check out the information yourself. So yeah, at the end, these are some of my reasons why I think we should stop supporting this crazy organization that claims to be a Islamic organization, which do not practice or do not follow the Islamic practices. They do not listen to arguments when they don't listen to people when their mistakes are when they actually point to their mistakes and they don't correct themselves, and they're publishing content that is harmful for human beings in terms of health, and that is harmful for the world, for the planet. Thinking about all these things, I decided not to support them. And I think by now you will agree with me that Islamic Relief.org.uk should be, we shouldn't waste our money with their efforts, because our monies will be used wrongly. Okay, the donation that we make will be used wrongly. We cannot rely on blinded, dogmatic people who have dogmatic views about things to we cannot believe them with our donations, right? So might as well go to other organizations that actually use the money wisely, and who do not mess around, who do not basically put out content there to destroy our health and the planet. So with that, thanks a lot for watching this video. It's a little long video, I understand, but I had to present all the arguments that I have against supporting this organization, and I hope you will do the same. So with that, I'll see you later. Take care. Bye bye. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.